Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kiali community meeting. This is Sprint 2608, and we are going to be releasing Kiali 2.28. So we can see here all the activity for this sprint. It was a really busy sprint. As you can see, there was a main activity in the Kiali server with 132 issues done, but also a lot of activity in the OpenShift service mesh plugin with about 53 issues done, and also in the Kiali operator. So let's begin with the highlights for this sprint. The first one is related to the chatbot AI. And the chatbot used to show the same generic welcome prompt, no matter which page you were on. And now the chatbot is context aware. So when you open it on the graph page, you are going to get graphic specific suggestions. If you are on the services page, you will get service troubleshooting prompts and so on. So the prompts came from a new backend API endpoint. So they are dynamic, not hard-coded in the front end. And they are also designed to do useful analysis in a single call to minimize this token usage. This is an improvement related to the UX. The list pages for applications, services, and workloads now let you show, hide, and reorder the columns. So if you don't care about certain columns, you can get rid of them and focus on what really matters for you. It follows the same pattern already used in the namespace list page, so it's consistent across the UI. And this can be really helpful when you have a lot of data on a screen. For example, if you have many labels and this information is not relevant for you, because you can also go to the details services page and see that information. And now let's start with the notable change. We bumped the Go runtime to 1.26. That's the latest Go version. We have reduced the operator airbag permissions following the principle of least privilege, so no more overprivileged installation in Kiali. You can now pick your TLS curves. This is an important FIPS and post-quantum cryptography environments improvement. So the group preferences that were previously known as curves are the ordered list of supported groups that a TLS endpoint is going to use during the key exchange, and how this is going to affect Kiali. So Kiali is going to automatically read the cluster's TLS security profile in OpenShift clusters and apply it everywhere in the Kiali server itself and all of the outbound clients. So users doesn't need to modify anything. Also, for non-OpenShift clusters, it is required a manual configuration because there is no auto-discovery outside of OpenShift. So users need to explicitly set this in a new deployment TLS config option to define their desired TLS policy when it is required. There was lots of dependency bumps for related to CVEs. We haven't included them here, but if you are interested in the details, you can check the project board in GitHub that has all dependency upgrade versions and also the backports. We have updated the Gateway API inference extension from version 1.3 to 1.5. And related to ambient, we have made some tests to make sure Kiali is fully compatible with the Istio 1.30, especially in multi-cluster environments. Related to validations, there was added 2 new validation rules. We now catch service entries that conflict on host and port and the protocol. And we have created these new rules that are KIA 12 and 11 and 12.12. Related to internationalizations, we have created a new convention file for the translation of Spanish and Chinese to make sure that specific terms are always translated in the same way. Chinese is still not complete. It has some to-dos. So we welcome any contributors who want to help on this. And related to the OpenShift Service Mesh console, there was a change to add two directives to the NVN configuration to look it to TLS 1.3 only and enable a post-quantum cryptographic key exchange group and a FIPS compatible variant. Also, OSMC ships the translation files for the navigation sidebar items, but it was not loading them because of a missing field in the console plugin manifest. And now with this property, which is the load type preload, the console is able to load these internationalization files. Let's continue with some other notable changes. Next ones are related to the AI. So you can now configure TLS verification for Lightspeed, and you can also skip it if you want with insecure skip TLS verify configuration settings in the AI section. The MCP validation now runs in CI with the GitHub actions instead of using the binary, which should make it more robust, the CI. There was created a new hack script that is especially useful for development to install the MCP and the Lightspeed. It has instructions if you want to run it as well with a kind cluster. It uses a container for running Lightspeed, so no need of a CRC, for example. And it also has some configuration for different LLM provider support. There were some UX improvements related to the graph and the mesh toolbars as well. Now with less visual noise, more clear icons, and also an improved side panel. And we have reduced the number of API calls when loading Istio configs for applications and workloads to improve the performance. And we have included support for traffic extensions. So traffic extensions is a new Istio API that replaces the WASP plugin as the primary proxy mechanism. And now you can see the traffic extensions in the Istio config list or in the you can see the YAML in the specific details of the Istio config object. Even the validations are not still implemented. And the last one is that we have upgraded Cypress from 1.3 to 1.5, which is used for internal testing. Okay, so let's go now with the bug fixes. The OAuth2 tokens for Grafana and Perses weren't being cached properly. So every time a request was done, a new token was requested, which was very inefficient, and this was fixed. There is a validation rule that checks when a gateway's allowed root selector match any roots. And the bug was that when you use match expressions in that selector instead of the match labels, Kiali didn't know how to evaluate. So it was throwing a false positive. Related to ambient, Kiali ambient mode was not detected when cTunnel was deployed in a remote cluster instead of the home cluster. And this was causing, between other things, not showing the ambient traffic. We want to thank the community user, Devesh Dama, for this contribution and also for raising this bug. There was another bug fix related to ambient. In this case, the waypoint details tab was broken in the nightly CI, which was now fixed. And another bug fix related to multi-cluster. So in a multi-cluster setup, when you set ignore home cluster to true, that tells Kiali to treat the cluster where it's running as just infrastructure. So it's not going to show its workloads, for example. And the bug was that when this was set, the workloads list page will just give an error instead of just loading the workloads from the remote clusters. And the other one, the last one, is related to AI. The MCP tool schema for the get post performance tool was not working with the OpenAI's API. That is more restricted than other APIs, and that is fixed as well. Here we have like an overview of the next sprint. The next one will be version 2.29. We have many items in the backlog, and the epics in progress continue to be the same as in the previous one, with a focus on AI with MCP, the chatbot, also improvements in the UX and in ambient support. Thank you all for joining, and now I will stop the recording to have our community discussion.